I'm going to make this very simple for you, Dan. Men should not play sports against women. I'm not going to get into all the bullshit that's going on out here in the world today. If anybody thinks that, I think they're stupid. I'm not, like I say, I support the gay community 100%. I support the transgender community 100%. But I do not, under any circumstances, under zero, think that men should play sports against women. And if anybody have a problem with that, they're going to have to get over it, because I'm not going to change. I just think it's wrong.
Or what? The science behind this, that men and women are different. And you can call yourself a woman, you can call yourself a cat, call yourself whatever you want, but the facts are what? Trans women are men. And the W in WNBA stands for...
Before the game, you had a conversation with Sophie Cunningham.
I did.
If you want to share what you talked about, feel free. But more of my question is just how important is it to have those like in-person conversations with people that
I think it's
have
great.
Different views?
I think it's great. I think both of us understand that we have platforms, and we both talked about wanting to, more than anything, educate. And there are some things.
What followed next was something few voices in sports media had been willing to say openly. Yet Charles Barkley delivered it without the slightest hesitation. During Inside the NBA, Barkley made it clear he agrees with Sophie Cunningham's stance that men should not compete in women's sports. He expressed it in the same direct, no-nonsense style that has defined his entire career whenever he believes something obvious is being unnecessarily overcomplicated for everyone.
But I'm never going to think it's all right for men to play sports against women. I don't even think that's controversial. That's the thing that's funny. Like some of this stuff make, like when you see these debates on television, I'm like, yeah, men shouldn't play sports against women. I'm done. I don't want to hear you try to explain it to me. No, I don't want to hear it. I'm not going to argue with you. Men shouldn't play sports against women. I'm done. There's a lot of we can argue over. That ain't.
Looking back at where this all began, Sophie sat down for an interview and plainly said she wants to protect young girls and women in sports, believing competition should remain separated by biological sex. There was no name-calling or targeting of any specific player, only a policy opinion shared in response to a direct question. That single response ultimately sparked weeks of national coverage, and it was the very same statement Barkley was responding to when he spoke out publicly.
You don't see trans men going and saying, I want to play football, I want to play basketball, I want to be... Why there's no trans men going into men's spaces? Why is it trans women that's going into women's spaces? Show me the last time a trans man was on a podium in any sport. Show me the last time a trans man won in cycling, cross country, football, they played on the team, volleyball team, track and field, 4x100 meter relay on track and field, steeplechase, name it. Show me a trans man that have been competitive. Show me one. Show me one.
Since that interview, the reaction towards Sophie has grown far beyond simple disagreement. She's been booed nearly every time she touches the ball on the road, while banners directed specifically at her have appeared inside arenas. Meanwhile, the WNBA has seemed slow, almost hesitant, to step in and declare that enough is enough. As everything unfolded, it began to feel less like frustrated fans voicing opinions and more like a coordinated effort to make an example of one player for expressing something many people privately agree with.
Why the fuck are y'all booing Sophie Cunningham at every game now, man? This is what we doing to Sophie, trying to villainize this woman when all she did was, stand up?
The atmosphere in Portland told the whole story. Each time Sophie touched the ball, the crowd erupted with loud boos that were clear enough to be picked up by the broadcast microphones. She never showed any hesitation, responding the way true competitors often do by knocking down a shot against the jeering crowd and allowing the scoreboard to speak for itself instead of holding a press conference.
All of the crazies out there are now protesting her at WNBA games. So much so that a coach from another team pulled Sophie aside to have a few words with her and just let her know what she had thought about what Sophie said. Guys, Sophie Cunningham is probably the most popular athlete in the WNBA. If she goes bye-bye, there is no more WNBA. Additionally, have you ever seen Sophie Cunningham play ball before? What on earth makes y'all think that she cares about a bunch of crybabies complaining about an 80-20 issue? Literally, no one wants men and women's sports. It is highly unpopular, and the only people that do want that are people who have likely never played sports before in their lives. So,
yet the boos tell only part of the story. Banners carrying messages clearly intended to shame Sophie over her ESPN comments have appeared at road games, and arena security has reportedly stepped in more than once as tensions rose between fans displaying opposing signs. It's uncommon for a WNBA game to carry this level of crowd tension over something that happened entirely off the court, and that alone shows just how far the situation has expanded beyond basketball.
Super respectful. We were just holding our signs and cheering for both teams. And this lady, older lady, comes up to us, and she comes up to us, and at first I think she's gonna be nice, and then she asks like, "What are you guys doing?" Something like that. And then it was like, "Jesus loves everyone." That's what she told us, and I was like, "Oh, I know." Like, I'm really just like, I know, like, I know. Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, I hope Jesus can forgive you for what sin you've done," and like something like that. And then she told us that we were effing insane, and she's like, and she went like insane. Yeah. She's like, you better stop this and stop pulling this. Yeah. And for you guys, I hope God can save you. Yeah.
She said, for you to come here and pull this shit. Yeah. She said the word. Yeah. Did she say effing insane or?
No, she said the word.
And nobody around you spoke up for you.
No.
I will say, Annalie, when I came over, you were in tears.
Yeah, I've never been yelled at like that. I mean, I've had people hate on me on the internet, but like it doesn't really affect me as much because it's just people on.
Everything escalated with one incident that drew nationwide attention. Seattle Storm co-owner Celeste Caton confronted two teenage courtside fans over a sign simply thanking Sophie for speaking up for girls in sports. The sign wasn't hostile or directed at any player, yet one girl ended the night in tears. After the video spread and public pressure mounted, the league fined and suspended Caton. That was the backdrop for Barkley's on-air remarks. He wasn't discussing an abstract policy debate, but reacting to a controversy involving real people. He said Sophie Cunningham's position was simply that biological males should not compete in women's sports, calling it a matter of safety and fairness rather than an attack on transgender children. Barkley also criticized attempts to portray her comments differently, arguing they were meant to silence dissent, and warned the league to be very careful about how it handled the situation. Barkley argued that punishing a player for expressing an honest opinion creates a dangerous precedent for everyone involved, including players, coaches, and league officials. Coming from someone known for speaking his mind, that message carried significant weight. As his comments spread, other voices across the sports world joined the conversation, with many taking positions that differed from the WNBA's response. Several praised Sophie for standing by her belief that biological males should not compete in women's sports despite the criticism, emphasizing that she never backed away from her comments. Former Brian Urlacher said he didn't understand why an opinion about competitive fairness had become such a controversy, while Kendrick Perkins argued that players should be able to answer questions honestly without having their character become the focus of an entire season. Soon after, Shaquille O'Neal weighed in on his own show, arguing that the situation had been exaggerated by people eager to find something to be outraged about. The discussion spread beyond retired athletes as current broadcasters and former Olympians began offering their views, making it feel much larger than a typical sports talk argument. Sage Steele publicly supported the two teenage girls confronted by Celeste Caton, saying their treatment reflected poorly on the Storm organization regardless of anyone's position on the broader debate. She argued that emotional language about children was being used to avoid discussing biological differences between men and women, and noted that Sophie Cunningham had only answered a question she was asked by an ESPN reporter before later repeating that she was not trying to exclude anyone and believed everyone was welcome while recognizing the WNBA as a women's league. Steele's comments stood out because they came from the perspective of a veteran broadcaster rather than someone from the NBA world, and she concluded that Sophie had expressed an opinion without attacking anyone, suggesting the reaction revealed more about the current climate than about her actual remarks. As Barkley's comments continued gaining attention, Retired swimmer and women's sports advocate Riley Gaines publicly thanked him for using his platform to voice a position she said she had been making for years. Golf analysts and several retired MLB players also shared similar thoughts on social media, arguing that an athlete giving an honest answer to a direct question should not become the focus of a widespread campaign against her. Many supporters insisted Sophie's comments were about science, fairness, and protecting women's sports rather than expressing hostility toward transgender people, pointing out that she repeatedly said everyone should be treated with respect while explaining her position. During a first-take discussion, Kendrick Perkins expanded on the issue, saying he had covered countless athletes involved in controversial moments. But what stood out in Sophie's case was how calm and consistent she remained. He noted that she never escalated the situation, never resorted to personal attacks, and continued expressing the same viewpoint even as criticism intensified. Perkins also observed that many NBA players have made far more inflammatory remarks on sensitive topics without facing the same level of organized backlash. At the same time, not everyone supported Sophie. Several current WNBA players, coaches, and sports commentators argued that her remarks, regardless of intent, contributed to a hostile environment for some athletes, while others criticized Barkley for oversimplifying a far more complex conversation about inclusion in sports. That pushback was just as significant as the support because it showed the controversy was not simply one outspoken legend challenging an entire league, but a genuine divide with passionate voices on both sides debating what fairness in sports should truly look like. Several players publicly said they respected Sophie as a competitor while disagreeing with how she framed the issue, arguing that conversations about inclusion deserve more nuance than a brief interview response can provide. Brittney Griner added another perspective before a matchup against Sophie's team, telling reporters the entire situation had become annoying, expressing frustration with the constant attention surrounding a single interview answer rather than directly rejecting Sophie's right to hold an opinion. Her remarks sparked different interpretations, with some believing she was criticizing Sophie for creating the controversy, while others felt she was simply exhausted by the nonstop media coverage instead of targeting Sophie personally. The debate continued as another commentator argued that making Sophie the face of protecting women and girls was contradictory, criticizing her past associations and political choices while claiming the current focus unfairly singled out transgender athletes who were simply living their lives. According to that view, the conversation had shifted away from broader issues and become overly centered on transgender participation. In response, another voice defended Sophie, arguing she was trying to protect fairness and safety in women's sports and that many critics judged her based on political assumptions rather than the substance of her comments. That perspective maintained she was being attacked despite believing she was defending the integrity of the sport, highlighting how deeply divided opinions had become over the controversy. Brittney Griner and Sophie shared a lighthearted moment on the court, recreating a viral finger-pointing gesture that had been circulating across social media. The exchange made it clear there was no genuine personal animosity between them despite the public debate. That brief interaction did more to ease tensions than any official league statement because it showed two players with different viewpoints still treating each other with respect before competing. In many ways, that captured the deeper story beneath the controversy. Those closest to the situation, including Sophie and Griner, often handled it with more composure than many outside voices. Sophie repeatedly said there is room for everyone to be treated with respect, including biological women, transgender women, and transgender men, while maintaining her position on competitive categories. Throughout the controversy, she avoided mocking anyone, never escalated public confrontations, and even offered to send gifts to the two teenage girls who were confronted by Celeste Caton after supporting her at a Storm game. Following that incident, Sophie posted on social media that she believed there should be love and a safe space for everyone, adding that people can disagree while still treating one another with kindness. She praised the two girls for standing up for what they believed, said they would be hearing from her soon, and criticized Caton's actions as embarrassing without calling for her to lose her job or launching a personal attack. That measured response became almost as widely discussed as the original interview itself, reinforcing the calm and consistent approach she maintained even as the controversy continued to grow louder. When you compare Sophie's response with what happened at several road games, the contrast becomes difficult to ignore. She faced banners intended to shame her, coordinated boos whenever she touched the ball, and even a co-owner confronting teenagers over a simple thank you sign. Whatever position someone takes on the debate, it's hard to argue that Sophie was the one escalating the situation. Outside arenas, the divide became even more visible as supporters carrying "Save Women's Sports" signs gathered alongside counter-protesters criticizing her stance. On multiple occasions, security reportedly stepped in to keep the groups apart, while local news outlets began covering the demonstrations outside almost as closely as the games themselves. That was the atmosphere Charles Barkley stepped into when he finally shared his views. He could have stayed silent, as many commentators avoid issues this controversial, but instead he spoke openly, prompting a broader discussion. After his comments aired, other sports figures continued weighing in. Brian Urlacher's remarks spread widely among football fans who normally paid little attention to the WNBA, while Kendrick Perkins repeatedly emphasized that Sophie had simply answered a question honestly and had remained more composed than many of her critics. At the same time, opponents strongly disagreed, arguing that Sophie's comments about transgender women were harmful and should have consequences. They questioned why she continued playing without league discipline while others involved in the controversy faced suspensions or fines, and pointed to rallies supporting and opposing her as evidence that the issue had grown far beyond basketball. By then, the conversation had shifted away from the court, leaving the league dealing with an ongoing public debate instead of keeping the focus on the game itself. Many athletes have made controversial remarks over the years without facing this level of coordinated backlash, raising questions about why this issue has drawn such intense attention. There are few signs the controversy is fading. Whenever Sophie plays on the road, cameras focus on whether the boos continue, whether new banners appear, and whether the league responds more directly instead of issuing broad statements afterward. Each time another well-known figure from the sports world offers support or criticism, the debate gains fresh momentum on a new platform. One supporter praised Sophie for risking her career to speak honestly about what she believes is fairness in women's sports, arguing that competition should provide an equal playing field and encouraging more women to share similar views. According to that perspective, protecting competitive fairness remains the central issue because biological males competing against women can affect opportunities for female athletes. Throughout the controversy, Sophie consistently maintained that she was simply answering a question, stood by her response as criticism grew, and kept a measured tone despite the escalating attention around her. Barkley's decision to finally speak out did not begin the debate, but, in the view expressed here, it reinforced the belief that Sophie's opinion is shared by many people across the sports world, even if online reactions often appear much louder.